Your face, your mother's face. The human brain needs only 130 milliseconds to recognize them, faster than a blink. But there is something that looks almost human, that your brain will instantly refuse to process, not because it is ugly, but because it is too human. So human that before you can even fully understand what you are seeing, your spine already turns cold. Do you think psychology alone can explain that feeling? No. This is a scar carved into your bloodline for over 2 million years. Back then on the continent of Africa, at least 6 different upright walking human species existed at the same time. Some hunted in the darkness. Some could steal away children. Some could stare directly into your eyes and make you believe they were human, until they started walking toward you, and suddenly, you realized something was wrong. 6 species, 6 human-like creatures competing for the same land as your ancestors. So today, when a wax figure gives you chills, that reaction is not irrational. It is an alarm bell echoing from 2 million years ago. But that still is not the most terrifying part. The most terrifying part is this. Out of those 6 species, only 1 survived. And the reason the other 5 disappeared might have been your own ancestors. So where does this fear come from? In 1970, a Japanese robotics professor named Masahiro Mori discovered something strange. The more human a robot looked, the more people liked it. But once it became almost perfectly human, human empathy suddenly collapsed. Not gradually, not slowly. It dropped straight into a psychological abyss. The feeling was not simple discomfort. It was primal terror crawling from deep inside your bones. Mori called this phenomenon the uncanny valley. And it was not limited to robots. Wax figures, prosthetic limbs, hyper-realistic CGI characters. The moment something becomes almost human, but still feels slightly wrong, your body panics, heart rate increases, adrenaline spikes. Some studies even found that nearly human faces can trigger stronger stress responses than horror movies. But here is the real question. Why would a phenomenon named only in 1970 activate such an ancient biological reaction? Our ancestors never encountered robots, which means this alarm system was never designed for machines. Whatever it was built to detect existed millions of years before robots ever did. So let's go back. 2 million years ago, the African Rift Valley. Your Homo erectus ancestors had only recently learned to walk upright. But standing upright did not make them rulers of the world. Saber-toothed predators waited behind bushes. Hippos could tear a human body apart with one bite. Most of your ancestors were not hunters. Most of the time, they were prey. But the most terrifying creatures were not the animals. They were the things that looked almost human. While searching for food, Homo erectus would encounter Homo habilis and Homo rudolfensis. Close relatives, smaller brains, less predictable behavior. Imagine returning from a hunt. In the distance, you spot silhouettes walking upright on 2 legs. Your first instinct says, "Those are my people." So you relax and walk closer, only to realize too late that the eyes staring back at you are not friendly. Back then, mistaking the wrong tribe was often a death sentence. And it became even stranger. Africa was also home to Australopithecus, barely 1.2 meters tall, a brain size close to a chimpanzee, yet still walking upright. Imagine sitting beside a fire at night. Your child plays nearby. You glance up and see a thin shadow slowly approaching your child. By the time you grab a rock and run forward, it has already disappeared into the darkness. Parents 2 million years ago did not fear online predators. They feared real ones. There was also Paranthropus, massive jaws, a plant eater. Some researchers describe it as the cow of the human family tree. It did not attack you. It simply stood there, staring. You throw rocks at it. It does not run. You scream. It still does not move. It only watches you with eyes that are almost human, but not completely. Enough to make your scalp go numb. Africa 2 million years ago was not just a wilderness. But you think that was the end? A few 100,000 years later, modern humans appeared. And things became even stranger. Africa once had Homo naledi, a species with a brain only 1/3 the size of ours. Yet it may have practiced burial rituals. Even more mysterious, scientists discovered traces of an unknown ghost species hidden inside the DNA of modern West Africans. No fossils, no tools, no skeletons, nothing. And yet, its genetic fingerprints still exist inside living humans today. In 2020, researchers found that the Yoruba people may carry between 2% and 19% DNA from an entirely unknown ancient human species, a species we have never even identified. Take a moment to breathe, because the story outside Africa becomes even more unbelievable. To the north, there were the Neanderthals. Do not let museum reconstructions fool you. Their brains were larger than ours. They used tools, controlled fire, buried their dead, and their muscles may have been twice as powerful as modern humans. If one wrestled you, your wrist would probably snap first. Today, almost every non-African human carries around 1% to 2% Neanderthal DNA. You heard that correctly. Inside your body, there are fragments that do not belong to Homo sapiens. Further east were the Denisovans. We possess only a few teeth and a finger bone from them. Yet modern Melanesian populations still carry up to 6% Denisovan DNA. And in Southeast Asia, there was Homo floresiensis, the hobbit humans, barely over 1 meter tall, tiny brains, yet they made stone tools, used fire, and survived until only 50,000 years ago. At the same time, your ancestors were painting cave walls. Small human-like beings still walked another part of the earth. Now comes the truly terrifying part. Scientists proposed several theories to explain the uncanny valley. The first theory, recognition of death. Imagine a body that has only just stopped living. The skin still has color. The face still looks familiar. But the eyes no longer move. The chest no longer rises. It is still the face of someone you know, but the person inside is gone. That may be the ultimate form of the uncanny valley, not almost human, but human moments ago. That is why horror films use unnatural movements and lifeless facial expressions, because they attack one of the oldest survival instincts in the human brain. The fear is not ghosts. The fear is a human face with nobody inside. The second theory is disease avoidance. 2 million years ago, there were no doctors, no medicine, gray skin, strange movements, empty eyes. Those visual abnormalities were your only warning signs. But the third theory may be the darkest of all. In a world without language, uniforms, or modern identity, how did humans distinguish us from them? By faces, body movement, shoulder posture, bone structure, the angle of a smile. If a Neanderthal entered your territory, you had only seconds to decide: friend or threat. A mistake meant death. So the human brain evolved the ultimate facial scanning system. Anything that looked almost human, but not completely right, was immediately flagged as danger. Better a false alarm than a fatal mistake. This is not just the uncanny valley. It is an ancient species detection machine, and it is still running inside your brain every second of your life. And now the final question. Did this instinct help drive every other human species to extinction? Wherever Homo sapiens arrived, other human species disappeared. Neanderthals vanished in Europe. Denisovans vanished in Asia. Hobbit humans disappeared from Indonesia. Every species that once shared this planet with us vanished, without exception. So what is the uncanny valley really? It is not simply an interesting psychology concept. It is not merely a curve robot designers must avoid. It is a battlefield report from prehistory, a memory of a 2 million-year war between human-like species. And you are the descendant of the only winner. Today, there are no more Neanderthals, no more Denisovans, no more Hobbit humans, but the system remains. You walk into a wax museum, you see motionless eyes, and suddenly your spine turns cold. Late at night, you scroll across an AI-generated face online. You know it is fake, and yet, your chest tightens anyway. That is not because you are overreacting. It is because the human from 2 million years ago is still speaking through you. And it is saying, be careful. The last time someone saw a face like that, they never came back alive.